Yo, I don't want to be here anymore. Okay, so we're back to the olden days of my hair is wet and I'm wearing my Harry Potter blanket hoodie thing because frankly, I don't want to be here anymore. So I graduate college in a week. Clearly I'm thrilled with the circumstances right now. This is exactly how I wanted to approach this incredibly important milestone. And the class I'm in right now is frankly a whole bunch of bullshit because they're having us do a bunch of nonsense assignments to sort of round out our degree. And one of our assignments this week is to write a movie review. And so I thought to myself, I could not care less about this course right now. We're writing a review on it chapter 1. So that's what we're gonna do today because imagine the fatigue that I feel. Oh my god. So there are basically like no rules on this of like what kind of stuff we're allowed to pick from. So if he has any gripes for me about writing a review on a movie that came out 3 years ago, I will throw hands. So it has to be between 750 and 1,000 words, which is pretty short. For context, my degree is creative writing for entertainment. I go to a film school, hence why writing a movie review is amongst art. Where the fuck did it go? Creative 750 to 1,000 word professional review of a book, graphic novel, comic series, film, television show, pilot or season, or a video game review. That's a lot of options. Obviously, we're doing movies. We're reviewing it chapter 1. Okay, requirements. Should have a title. This is the shit we're dealing with. Should be comprehensive in scope, set up the story, characters, plot, and themes, should give context of the genre, writer, publisher, or filmmaker's work, should discuss the pros and cons, should be wary of spoilers, should be written for a sophisticated audience, should not read like an academic paper. Many reviews are informal and entertaining. Great, because should include with a bottom line, grade, or one sentence summary. Okay, I think we can manage that. I think we can manage that today. So on a scale from 1 to 10 on how fucking done I am writing a review on it, chapter 1 for homework. Let's talk about ready. Okay, so obviously I do want to actually take this seriously and make it a good review, but I thought filming it would be content. So we're gonna find out. I hate it here. See, it's because I have to do it for class. It's because this is an assignment for class that I don't want to do it. Like, if I were just doing it on my free time, I'd be like, awesome, would have been done 3 days ago. But now my teacher's like, hey, it's for class, and now I don't want to do it anymore, you know? Like, how informal are we making this? Because I'm gonna put it on my site afterwards, Alina's Media Analysis. Go and check it out. The link is always in my description. Which are very informal and very first person and very much of my experience. I need a starting sentence. The starting sentences are always the worst. This is due tonight. This is due in 8 hours. I really need, that was just a kind of a long time. This is gonna take me like 20 minutes once I actually get a hang of it. But how informal can I make this? That's the thing. So, I am aware of the fact that this movie came out, how much? Came out nearly 3 years ago. However, to this day, I believe it has a lot. Ignore all my typos, please. Okay, I'm gonna go fix it at the end. I'm bad at typing fast. Yo, how many months are between is it 9 months? 9 months later, after Georgie dies? I don't fucking know. I'm like not talking at all. Okay, here we go. We're getting into the psychology now. Let me explain myself, Professor. Okay, so this is where it gets difficult. So, do I bring up the whole Eddie sexuality fear thing, because that's technically not something that's established in the movie. This is also just getting a bit convoluted. I'm just supposed to just be talking about It Chapter 1, but it's really difficult to not bring up It Chapter 2 and the book as, like... So I don't know if he's gonna penalize me for that. Honestly, I'll fight him if he does. But I'm talking about how, like, he laces together the children's fears with the adults and how they're all metaphor. I guess we could talk about Bev. But, like... Like, I want to talk about Eddie, but I feel like that wouldn't be justified because they didn't really go through with the entire narrative of, like, the homeless man trying to give him a blowjob in the movies, and I feel like that's, like, the big... We're not going to talk about Eddie. I'm sorry. I don't... We're in the home stretch from the last one. Oh, fuck. I only have 60 words left? Oh no, oh my god, we're gonna have to cut stuff. No. Let me talk about my children. Oh, never mind, 964. Woo! Okay, I'm done. Don't try to fucking autocorrect Wolfhard. Okay, let's read this through. I have not read it through yet, so it might just be terrible. A dramatic reading from me. So, I'm aware of the fact that this movie came out nearly 3 years ago. However, to this day, I believe it has a lot to say about itself. It follows 7 middle schoolers as they enter their summer break in the midst of mysterious child disappearances happening around their small town of Derry. The Stephen King classic took theaters 27 years after the original Tim Curry starring miniseries, and frankly jump-started the modern King reboots. Now, no film has ever surprised me quite like it, seeing that I had few preconceived notions about the film other than that it was a scary clown movie and Stranger Things' Finn Wolfhard was in it. My mom, who was a massive Stephen King fan as a teen, dragged me to the theater along with her, and as cheesy as it sounds, my life has never been the same since, because I've never encountered a story I love quite as much as this one. The real draw of the horror blockbuster is that you soon realize it is much more than meets the eye, and the marketing could be determined as either a cheap cash grab or a clever draw, because while it displays itself as your typical jump scare filled drop your popcorn combo price film that shrouds itself in what is actually one of the most touching coming of age stories to date. I have since read the book and it has become one of my all-time favorites, deeming itself as one of Stephen King's best works, for it is an iconic staple for a subgenre of horror that is entirely its own. While the book focusing on this group of misfits both in their youth and their adulthood, covered later in 2019's It Chapter 2, it is the encompassment of how we, as the human race, view and experience fear. As children, we are afraid of tangible things, ghosts and werewolves and clowns, the monster hiding under our bed, or the figure in the closet. Fear as a child is something you can touch, something you can see, which is represented in this film with what the characters face. Eddie with his leper, Stan with the creepy painting in his dad's office, and so on and so forth. As adults, however, our fears are rooted in what we can't control or explain. King uses this tactic brilliantly to lace together the characters' fears as kids and adults, the seemingly superficial fears representing a deeper metaphor. Beverly, for example, the only girl in the group, faces sexual assault from her father, and her encounter with it is represented with a flood of blood in her bathroom that only she can see. On the surface, the scene is scary. The tension builds well, she hears voices in the drain, and is ultimately covered head to toe in blood. But a scene and a fear like this goes back to my point. Blood is tangible, the fear of getting hurt or injured, but the blood actually ties in with Bev getting her period for the first time, which we see references to earlier in the film, and the blood actually ends up representing her fear of becoming a woman. Because after all, if her own father sees her in such a way now, how does she know that all men won't treat her the same? Beverly continuously faces issues with self-acceptance and love, and feels that she is unworthy of receiving love in return. Beyond all of this, it is simply a blast of a horror film. The young cast is incredibly quippy and endearing, their comedy and improv shining through the rest, putting even Pennywise to shame. Their friendship is genuine. You can tell by watching how close these kids were and how much they cared about each other, each one playing an important part in the other's development as they all overcame this dramatic journey facing a killer clown. Now, this film is not without flaws. What Stephen King has managed to do so expertly for decades is truly provide a staple for himself, and the magic in his stories and what makes them so unique is that he relies so heavily on ambiance and environment. At the end of the day, what we can't see is scarier than what we can, because what we can fathom up in our heads will always be scarier than whatever amazing demonstration of CGI movie can show us. Where this film falls flat is that they relied all too too heavily on the clown and the presentation as such. Bill Skarsgård is an incredible performer and an incredible Pennywise, but scenes like his first encounter with Georgie in the sewer drain are far scarier than jumping around a corner triggering a loud sound effect. Jump scares are simply lazy, and King's works have, for the most part, lacked them because his story always comes first, and they're scary enough without feeling the need to trigger our brain composition. While I think the film makes an excellent focus on the kids in a stand-by-me fashion, I could have done with less blatant, hey, don't forget you're watching a scary movie, clown moments. Because at the end of the day, Pennywise wasn't even in the book all too much. It was just mentioned to be his favorite form. With an emphasis on it as an entity, I would have loved to see more versions of himself in the style of Eddie's leper or Ben's headless boy. Because, well, none of the kids were really afraid of clowns, aside from Richie. But I suppose marketing is marketing, and spooky clowns in September sell. In conclusion, it is a near-perfect take on a Stephen King classic and paves the way for future iterations to come. I get a clap. I use at the end of the day far too much, so let me just go back and fix some of this wording. Anyway, thanks for doing homework with me. Thanks for giving me a drive to actually do this today. My review will be on my site by the time I post this, so go check it out. I hope you're all doing well in your classes. To any other college seniors, I'm very sorry. This sucks. Comment, like, and subscribe, press the notification bell because I don't have an uploading schedule. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at edward.spaghedward. Links to my website and my merch and all that sort of stuff is always in the description. This has been a really great dinner. Thanks for coming over.